Welcome back to the Flaherty Solutions Podcast. I'm Erin Flaherty.
And I'm Kevin Flaherty.
Today we're talking about, does your business pass the bus test?
The bus test. Or
What is the bus test? It is if you got hit by a bus today. And actually, the more I think about this, you survived the bus test, but
Yes.
you survived the bus crash, but you're not in good shape probably. Or you die. Do you still have a business? Most people don't.
6 months ago we called this, can you survive your coma? Can your business survive your coma?
You called it that. I mean,
No.
there's a story that went with that, but I think you kept calling. It was my original story that I told you, but you kept calling it that. But
Well, the bus just seems so violent.
okay, fine. Your coma test, bus test. If you're brain dead basically or dead, do you have a business? And most people, the answer is no.
That is correct. So we are going to break down what you should be doing to form a invincible business. Even if you get hit by a bus and you're in a coma.
And you're in a coma, right?
Well,
Or you die, because there's a way
Yeah.
for your business to survive you, which is pretty awesome, because can it keep going? Can it keep funding your family? Can it keep serving your business community? So let's take a step back and figure out why don't businesses pass the bus test. And I think it's because when people go into business, they love something or they're good at something or hopefully both, and they just do it all. And
Yeah.
it's either because they think they have to or they want to. There's a lot of control that goes with owning a business where like, I can't let someone do this task or that task. And there's also the false notion that there's no one who can do it better than I can. And let me just say, get over yourself. You're wrong. Right?
It's so funny because I'm having the complete opposite effect where from step one of whatever business I'm trying to do, I'm trying to give it away. Like, you do this task, and I can't find anyone that can commit to getting those tasks done. That's my
Let's
problem.
break it down. I don't even think we went through this. So do you want to talk about that or not really?
No, we'll
Okay.
keep going on your
Okay.
thread and then...
Well, and it's not, so we can process that if you want, or if you're not ready to do that, that's fine. Do you want to or
No.
no? Okay. So I think people get into the trap of either not knowing who they can hire.
Mm-hmm.
And I think without going into your situation, I feel like, are you trying to hire an employee for it?
Yes.
You are.
Yeah.
Not just like outsourced, because you
No.
because you can delegate in all sorts of different ways. You can outsource, so you can be like, so I need a website. I don't need an employee to do a website. I
No.
can hire Digital Curve Marketing, who did my website. They're pretty awesome. So I can hire Chad to do my website, and I don't have to put Chad on my payroll.
Yeah.
Or if it's something that needs to be done ongoing, I can hire an independent contractor or I can hire an employee.
Yeah. And so really good example, like we have big things going on with my YouTube channel right now, and I'm starting to say like, I can't do it all. I can't do the filming. I can't do the editing. Well, I can do all these things and I have been doing them, but we're about to hit a next level.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I want to hire someone to do my social. Well, I've done this and I've spent a lot of money. And at the end of the day, it is very hard to find a powerful social like that gets it, that
Right.
doesn't just put up like stupid, sorry, if you do social, yes, sometimes you do stupid stuff. And that's like the stock photo. There's nothing authentic. Like, so with my videos, if we're goofing around like we did with our neighbors, that was a very funny clip. I want my social person to automatically grab that 30-second clip and put it up on Instagram. And you can walk social people through that, and eventually they still default back to...
I don't think you should hire. I don't think you should do someone who does social. I think you
Exactly, because
yeah,
they're not going to deliver.
No, we've both had experiences with that.
Yeah.
No, I think.
So that's the frustrating part. Like, that's where my business, like, I want to, if I hit a coma,
You get.
which I feel like I'm in right now. That nobody's gonna pick up that social aspect.
Right. I think this is where we get creative, which we've talked about this on the show before, where not everyone, but a lot of people have cleaning people, and they hire the cleaning person, and the cleaning person does what the cleaning person does, and you and I were like, we don't need that. We need we need a hybrid. We need something different. So we hired someone on payroll.
Yeah.
To do what we wanted to do, this cleaning person, she does this and this and this, and she does it her way. We hired somebody who actually didn't clean for a living, but we taught her what we wanted her to do, and we paid her as an employee. I actually think you should take that same approach with your social, because you know how to do all the stuff that you want to hire for, which is also a good point. You should know a good deal about doing what you want to hire for. You shouldn't. When I started my company, I didn't know actually how to reconcile bank statements and do bookkeeping, but I thought that if I managed bookkeepers, that would work out. Well, when you don't know what you're doing and your client tells you that their books are screwed up and you don't know whether they're right or wrong, like, you have to know how to do what you want to hire for well first, and then delegate it. You have to know what you want and the definition of done. So I think because you know what you're looking for, you can train somebody who's. I actually think you should get a newbie. I don't think you should get someone who's social. Yeah. I think you should hire someone who takes direction. Yeah. Really well, and has maybe a talent for it and doesn't know it.
I like that.
So if someone has a unicorn for us, no, we'll be able to find it. We'll talk it through.
Yeah, and this all this is all 24-hour stuff. Yeah. Everything's happening very quickly, and big things on the horizon, and I'm just going from this garage band to, okay, I'm getting
you're Metallica.
I'm getting some big things sent to me, and I want my production from GarageBand to go to the next level. But then I'm just thinking of the social media aspect of it. I've got all these followers, but I haven't been engaging with them. So how do I get them back in the fold more? So it's just a big undertaking. But thank you. I kind of want to circle it back into, you're in a coma, you got hit by a bus. Can you tell the listeners kind of the origin story so they understand fully? Yes.
So I was a member of a consulting group, Chesapeake Think Tank, which is an amazing group, by the way. It really helps to take your business.
You're just name dropping all over. Just let me pick that name up.
It's what I do. So I was a member. And I will hopefully post both Digital Curve and Chesapeake Think Tank in the comments. Actually, I met Chad at Digital Curve at Chesapeake Think Tank. Yeah. So, fun fact. Anyway, Patrick Lee owns Chesapeake Think Tank and told us a story. I don't remember the person in the story, his name, but basically, he owned a company. It was doing well. He went to go have surgery and didn't tell his employees. He was just like, I'm just going to have a thing done. Yeah. And ended up in a coma. Ooh. So employees had no reason to plan for this. All of a sudden, their leader is in a coma, and he made it. I don't remember.
I think it was 4 to 6 months.
It was a long time, and I believe part of the story was that this guy was kind of a typical controlling owner, where it was like, we're going to do things my way. And the team had to band together and figure how to do things without him, and they were doing better when he came back. So
sales were up, everything was up.
So then he was like, okay, now let me listen to you. Yeah. And I go through comas every year. I put myself into a coma every year. First of all, we're still in the stage of raising kids, and pre-COVID-19, I've had summers which I call bad decisions, where we didn't have really summer camp for Parker, who was 5 last year, and I was miserable. But honestly, I was able to run my business without her being in any sort of childcare. I remember, we landed our biggest client last summer, and I talked to the woman while Parker was sitting in the car with me, and I was just trying to feed her candy or crack, whatever I had. I was like, yeah, trying to do this thing. and that was few and far between. I really was able to take a lot of time off. And then every tax season, January kicks my butt so much that when February rolls around, I literally need a mental health break. Like literally crash into a depression where I'm like, I can't do this right now. I cannot. And my team went from a couple years ago asking me questions because they were still learning. I mean, my team is not that old. Like my team, the way they are, the way that they're structured, we're not all that old as a team. We are, you know, we're not newbie business, but we're still, it's not like we've been in business 10, 15 a year, like together as a team. I've been in business that long. The team has not been together more than 5 years.
Yeah.
So they've gone from asking me questions because they thought, well, Erin's going to have the answer. And then realizing in February when I am on my mental health leave of absence, that they're figuring out and guessing sometimes is going to be better than they're asking me. Because at that time, I don't care.
Yeah.
So my job as a business owner and my job to our franchisees is to teach them your main role in your company. I mean, if you don't want your company to survive you, then don't listen to this. But most people do. They want that security. Your main job should be to delegate.
Yeah.
Whatever comes across your plate, how can I get rid of this? Mm-hmm. Whatever, you know, who else can do this better than me? And it's not only that. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into that, which is why another reason a lot of people don't do it. They want to, but they don't have the patience to type out the SOPs or the processes and make
SOPs.
sure standard operating procedures.
Okay.
Okay? So they don't have the patience or the time.
Yeah. Well, and we've had these conversations in this house, in our old, smaller house. You know, I have to train this person. This is what Erin would say, and she would just be dreading it. I don't want to. I got so much going on. I got sales, a sales funnel. We're bringing in new business, but to pause all that and bring somebody else up to speed, actually, then when the sales funnel kicked back on, had an even bigger sales funnel because she had more time on her
I
hands.
just don't like it.
Yeah, you don't like it, but I don't know if you remember this, but in the early days, it was this huge conflict you were having. Like, if I bring this person up to speed, are they really going to benefit? I can just knock all this out myself. And every 6 months, a new block was chipped away at, where Erin was this whole, business, this whole foundation.
It was all, I mean, for a while, the roles are all, I mean, and everybody starts somewhere.
Yeah.
The whole business does usually start with one person.
Yeah. Like
where they are sales, they are marketing, they are ops, they are technical, they're IT.
Yeah.
That's where you start. It's funny how you have more memory about my past than I do. But now, I still hate training.
Yes.
I hate it with a passion. But then once you have enough infrastructure, so it started with me, and then it started with me and some bookkeepers. Then we promoted Erica to quality control. So Erica manages the bookkeepers. We have Erica. Now we have a client specialist that we've had for a couple years, Angie. And so now we have layers of things.
Yes.
So I don't typically have to train unless it's training Erica or Angie. I don't train on the minutia of my business anymore. Erica handles a lot of the training for our franchisees. She handles a lot of the training for our bookkeepers. So eventually, if you do this stuff that you're like, oh, I don't have time or I don't want to do it, eventually you have someone to do the stuff that you don't want to do, which includes training. Like, it's kind of ironic.
Yeah.
The thing I hate to do, I have someone to do it for me now.
Yes. And to give you a visual, if you're driving down the road, is, take Erin's business as a pyramid, right? She was the entire foundation, middle level, and top of the pyramid. And then she slowly brought in bookkeepers. That's the foundation of the business.
Right.
And then above that, she brought in quality control and client specialists. And now she's at the top where she trains the quality control and client specialists.
Right.
And they disseminate that information down. Now, that was a process over probably 2.5 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Where she had to, release, okay, we're going to bring on a bookkeeper. And she had to give away that portion of her business task. So that was the foundation. That was the first baby step. Then it was another bookkeeper.
Right.
Then it was bringing on quality control.
Right.
So none of this happened like, hey, I'm starting a business. By the way, I got 6 people at the foundation. I got 2 people middle
Right.
management, and I'm up here. It took 2.5 to 4 years, if my memory serves me correctly.
And it can be quicker, so our franchisees know where they're going.
Yeah.
And they can hire at their own pace. Like they know what the next hire is.
Yes.
And they can do it as quickly or as
Exactly.
I mean, they can decide if they're more aggressive and they want to grow this thing.
Because the SOPs, the standard operating procedures, are in place.
Yeah, and the job descriptions and the offer letters, and we just rolled out something great at headquarters where really our whole staff, but mainly our full-timers have unlimited vacation because it's kind of like, you know what your job is, you know what it needs to be, you know what you need to deliver, and so I have no problem, like we don't put a timeline on the kind of time
if you want to be away for 3 weeks, like,
right,
bring a laptop to like check in, you know.
So they also or
just get it done in the 1 week
or trade coverage with somebody. I mean, it's like, because there's that trust and there's that much, you know what you need to do in the company, so everybody can realize that work-life balance as well.
Well, and the more you think about it, it's really hard to get away for a month. Like we were contemplating this with, getting an RV, going away for a month, and then it's like, but then we gotta like check in on this for our house.
You're the one for the kibosh on a month. I just don't know I don't know if we'd be happy for a month, but like
that's part of the psychology behind like unlimited vacation.
Well, right. Like, no, and there are certain months like the team can't take off in January because that's our busiest month, and which is why I go like reeling into a mental health breakdown.
The second part I want to cover as a fact finding, seeing if you remember this because I don't, is we talked about the business structure of how that evolved and into your coma state. From an outside personnel, do you remember what, like software, outsourcing marketing, outsourcing these other things that aren't inside your pyramid?
Okay, not internal.
That took time. I remember those conversations.
Oh, software, okay.
But I can't remember what you kind of delegated first to say, I no longer want to be... I keep going back to marketing and social because we talked about that, but that probably wasn't the first, was it?
I don't know.
Because there's certain things...
I don't really know what you're asking me.
Are there things outside of that pyramid, like social media, that you delegated, or web design?
Outside of bookkeeping, okay, gotcha.
Like those other avenues of business. Well,
accountant is always one. Like, I mean, we're bookkeepers, so a lot of people outsource to us instead of hiring employees, which is, I think, a great move. But so our company now has a CPA. We have gone through, and Chesapeake Think Tank was our external consultant. So that's a really good one to outsource to. Mm-hmm. Because you don't have to pay someone to like sit in your business, and you don't have to pay an employee for that. You pay a monthly fee for a person's expertise.
So let's stop right there. Okay. When was your company ready, or what was your hang-ups to say we need another perspective of this company?
Oh, my hang-ups. Okay,
or it might not have been.
My own personal hang-ups about coaches, consultants is I need to make sure you have to make sure that you have the right fit for a coach or consultant, because you have like the rah-rah consultants that are like, let's get to that next sales goal. I mean, personality is everything. Mm-hmm. Like you have to make sure that it's a match. Yeah. But you have to have clear goals in mind. Like you have to know why you're hiring this coach. Like I feel like if I was just like, I'm a mess, I need a coach. Like I feel like that's a recipe
for disaster.
Right. I hired Patrick with Chesapeake Think Tank when I didn't know how to go from me and some bookkeepers to, like, I wanted to grow my business without busting at the seams. Yeah. I wanted to do it and maintain the quality. So Patrick helped me structure bringing Erica up from bookkeeper to quality control, and so he orchestrated that with me. I would not have known how to do that.
So your mental stress as a business owner was you just felt maxed out?
I just didn't know. Yeah. Well, I wasn't maxed out, but I knew that we were going to go somewhere that was going to either sacrifice quality, or I just didn't know. I just didn't know how to promote someone from, like, I'd never done that before. Take someone, like, what don't I know that I need to know?
Because I'm just trying to think about it from a business owner listening to this. You know, they're doing sales of 100, 150,000. You know, what's going through their mind to try to take it to that next, you know, do I hire a consultant?
Right.
I mean, a consultant probably has this answer. Is it because they want to grow even more?
Right.
Is it because they want more vacation time
Or
for themselves?
They need management training. Like, I would say it's sort of off on a tangent, but something I see that makes me cringe when talking to my clients and other fellow business owners, if they try to have too much control over their employees, I'm like, it's 2020.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we just talked about the unlimited vacation. You don't have to do that. But what I find is people could be pretty crappy managers, and they're putting control on, well, like, people are working from home now. What are they doing? And it's like, no one likes to be babysat.
Yeah.
And now they kind of can't, unless they're, you know, if they're back open, that's great. But I just feel like maybe they need management training. Maybe they have to address their own insecurities and their own flaws within their business. And that's what a consultant's great for, bouncing ideas off of. Some people are too soft, where they're like, sure, you can do whatever. And then all of a sudden the employees are like running like, they don't have expectations, but then the business owner... And then
they can't have tough conversations with them.
Right.
Like, your expectations, well, you didn't give me any expectations.
Right, you didn't give them expectations, so they don't know that they're doing a good job. So it's whatever you're struggling with your own skill set, and how somebody is there to bounce things off and tell you. I mean, I think the best consultants are brutally honest and tell you the worst things that you don't want to hear, but that you need to hear. Yeah. So that's why Patrick and I get along. So and I don't work with Patrick anymore. It was just sort of one of those things where it's like, okay, you help me with this and this and this. It's just time to end that situation.
Well, you had clear parameters of what you wanted to accomplish.
Right.
You accomplished those, and it was time.
And it was a flat rate, or some work on an hourly rate, or some work on a retainer. You know, so yeah, just where you're having someone tell you where your blind spots are great. Yeah. Because maybe you don't know what your weaknesses are.
Yeah. And you know, to give Patrick credit, he's got this knack for being brutally honest with no apology. And that sounds wrong. You're like, oh, like, I don't want to offend anybody. You should have somebody that gets, you know, hey, this is where you're screwing up.
Right.
And not be apologetic about it. Like, oh, did
everyone
I phrase
else it? Is going to, we talked about this in a prior episode with, like, your focus group. If you're like, will this work? Everybody else in your life will be like, yeah, it's great.
Oh, look at little Kevin.
But they'll bash you behind your back.
Like that idiot.
And he's just like, no. Yeah. Just no.
And it's really, and I've tried to do that to, like, friends that ask me, but it always ends up with, you know, sourpuss. Like, they're like, oh, like, Kevin's being Debbie Downer. Like, and I don't know. Right. Anyway, let's go back and circle this up.
So, outsourcing. Coach, consultant, CPA. You can outsource your marketing. Were there other things?
No, just wasn't sure if you remembered kind of the domino effect of kind of what went outsourced and stuff like that.
No. I mean, a consultant is huge. And then we finally outsourced our tax preparation to a CPA. Nice. Tony Pelora in Severna Park.
What's up, Tony?
Yeah. And different CPAs have different profiles. So if you ask me, like, what CPA should I use? I have a CPA for every risk, you know, like, I don't want to say that because they're all careful, but there's a CPA, there's a personality
have special,
match.
Like, they just, every business has certain fascinations with certain things. Like, for me, it's, you know, the market. The financial planning part is cool, but for me, my passion's the market. And CPAs are the exact same.
Oh, like, you're saying financial advisors have profiles
CPAs,
as well.
Some love doing the returns, some love getting into the books and, like, nitty gritty.
Some want to save you as much as possible tax wise, and they'll even, like, toe the line. Some are so conservative and so compliant that there's missed opportunity. Well, you probably know where you fall, and maybe it's in between. Some, maybe you're the type that needs real hand holding throughout the year. And there are just some CPAs that are going to give you that and some that aren't. You know,
Yeah.
all the ones that we work with are great, but we have to figure out the one for your personality. So we have lots of referrals. We use Tony. He fits our profile.
So let me ask you kind of this final question for, I'm starting a business. How quickly, see, I find value in learning the task.
Right.
So you should know it inside and out, anybody you bring on. I know every business is different, but how quickly should you be trying to pull somebody in or delegate a task?
Right away.
Right away?
Yeah, because you can still do some of it yourself. Like, I mean, you just have to avoid the too many cooks in the kitchen. I mean, what you want to avoid is stepping on toes of the person that you just...
Okay, so I'm on a limited budget, right?
Okay.
And I'm starting my business. What's the best way to bring someone into the fold? Is it, let's say for social, like I'm trying to train, let's just keep it real with what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to train and bring someone up to speed. Am I looking to do that on a contractor basis? Am I looking to do it as an employee?
That's a good question. Well, first I would look at budget. So like when you say you're on a limited budget, I would make sure that the business model supports bringing them on, so then we're investing more money. You know what I mean? Like we've talked about your past business, and so I feel like especially with your experience, but for anybody's experience, the best situation is, here's my profit that I'm already making from this business. This is what I have to invest in somebody.
Yeah.
And so if it's, with YouTube, obviously it starts out slow. If it's, I have $50 a month, well, then I say you look at hiring someone for 3 hours for $15. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you start having the business support that person so that you're not getting ahead of the cash. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
And then you figure out, okay, so let's just say I'm dealing with 3 hours per month. First of all, I would start with the most time-consuming, grueling activity that's like, what would I love to delegate that's what do I hate that takes 3 hours a month?
Yeah.
Just as an example, like, what do I absolutely hate? Okay, well, I hate that. Well, how can I give this to that person, even if you end up having to do some of it? Maybe maybe it takes 8 hours a month.
Yeah.
But how can I give 3 hours of it to someone? Like, how can I start documenting what this is so that I give this video to this person to edit or whatever? You know what I mean? And you start working from there, but I would work with your cash budget so that you're not, hey, have fun, you know, and it's, I'm hiring you for 3 hours. This is what and you got to be realistic. I mean, you can't expect 8 hours of work in 3.
No.
But this is my budget. It will grow to more. And I want you to help me get to that, to where it is more. And this is what I want you to do. Yeah. And then meanwhile, you might be doing the same thing in parallel.
And to bring it back to our viewers, the reason this example is so powerful and very important is when you say, well, I have a full-time job, I get paid well, and this is my side business I'm trying to bring up. So I have $1,000 extra. But let's say your business is only bringing in $100 a month because you're just getting started. And you're like, if I hire somebody, I have $1,000 extra a month that I can use towards hiring that person. Your expectations of what that person's going to do for $1,000 is probably not going to be met.
Right.
But if you start with, okay, I have $100 coming in, I'm going to use that, you're setting very clear expectations. Like, ooh, I only have $100. I'm not feeling flush because I get paid well on another job, and my expectations are going to be more realistic at that $100 mark. So we got to make it work at this $100 mark, and we got to increase that $100 to $200. That's how much money's coming in before that person can get even more money.
And it's never going to be their baby. Like, it's one of those things, it's never, you have to cater to what they want in their life too. I would venture to say that the part-time worker market is actually really strong right now. I would say a lot of people would want to make an extra $50 a month. Like maybe someone who isn't working outside the home, isn't working, they want to make some extra money. It's an interesting time. Yeah. So I think
I argue that though, because it's always with your business model, you've always been able to find people that are, they only want to make $50 a month.
I've never had someone just want to make $50 a month.
You've always had people, even when we're going back to the Elite Assist years, where you had like 70 employees.
Right.
or contractors.
Yeah, contractors.
Where you were giving off jobs and they were only going to make $45 to $75 a month, and people
that was
still
different.
signed up for that.
Right. That was after the crash of 2008. It was interesting.
Yeah, but I'd say up until 2012, people were still hopping onto it.
Right.
Because
You're absolutely right.
there's people out there that they don't want a full-time job, but any money they could get their hands on to help with their family bills.
Well, and they can do it when they want. I think
Yeah.
that's what a lot of companies are missing is the flexibility. They say, I want to hire, and this is back to like being a controlling manager, is like, work has to be done at between 8 and, and it's like, give them, like, does it though? Like, does it have to be done between, give them deadlines, but like, no one wants to be controlled. Nobody really wants to, they want instruction, but they don't want to feel like, me boss, you employee. Like, I hate that. Like, I don't even like it when my employees call me the boss,
No, you don't.
I don't, but
it makes her very awkward, so everybody just start calling her boss.
But I also think my employees and I think we have a great relationship too.
Yeah.
Because they know I have their back.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, what I want to kind of leave the viewers and listeners that are still with us with is, if your business, or pass this on to a business owner, this is the question I want them to ask themselves is, if I got hit by a bus, what would my business look like?
Right.
Would it still be there when I woke up from my coma 6 months later? If I make $500,000 a year in my business and I do it all myself, is that $500,000 gone?
I have one more thing to add because it's important. I choose to stay in sales in my business.
Yeah.
But that's the latest thing that we're outsourcing. We have someone else on our staff who does sales. Angie is our client specialist, and she also does sales for us. And we're starting to outsource sales. And so it's one of those things where I don't have to work in my company. I could have no role in my company and it would still run. But I love it. I love talking to the business community. So I choose to stay there, and I'm outsourcing it. So it still passes. It still passes the bus test.
There
so
you go.
I just figured it was.
Boom. That's it, people. Subscribe, like, share with your friends.
See you next week.
All right, bye.